what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're doing something fun as we count down 12 Injustice 3 wishlist characters. I'm going to go on ahead and run through the list that I have put together with your help, actually, on a previous Injustice stream, which was a lot of fun to actually put together. But as you go on ahead and evaluate my list, please keep in mind that you can go on ahead and share your list down in the comment section below. And in addition to that, I just want people to immediately calm down, because they're going to be like, bro, how could he not include Superman? How could he not include Batman, Joker, etc.? Those characters are most likely going to be in the game anyhow, and so because of that, those are so obvious that I'm not including them. I'm including the characters that I think would be really cool to be added, and ones that we don't know that actually will be. So again, the obvious hitters like the A tier or even S tier characters like Flash, Batman, those are so obvious that they will be in the game that I'm not even mentioning them. And again, I'm limited to 12 characters, so I wanted to make sure that the picks are unique. So with all that in mind, let's get rocking and rolling. We're gonna kick things off with a pretty big pick as we start with the Black Hand. Now, the reason why I chose this character, and you know what, I'm gonna go on ahead and give you the spoiler for the second pick, which will be Necron. I do think that those two make perfect sense for Injustice 3. It would be really cool if they actually go with the route of exploring the zombified, the deceased, the Blackest Night variation of the different characters from the DC universe. In this title, we know that NetherRealm is excellent at making gory and very, very spooky designs. So why not go on ahead and lean into that idea by giving them the keys to the castle of the zombified castle, I suppose, of the DC universe. And who's at the top of that castle? Who's sitting at the throne? Well, that would be Necron. But who is his right-hand man? That would be Black Hand. So I think it'd be really cool to go with the Dark Lanterns or the Black Lanterns theme. And then in addition to that, go on ahead and include obviously Black Hand and Necron. And from that, we transition right to pick number 3. And that would be Larfleeze, the head of the Orange Lanterns. He is the leader, I suppose, of the Orange Lanterns. Now, I know that people are going to also mention, hey, Blitz, well, if you're going to have Hal Jordan or Green Lantern, if you're going to have Sinestro, if you're going to have the character of Atrocitus from Injustice 2, then why not include the other lanterns, like the Indigo Lanterns, and the list goes on and on. Well, to me personally, as far as a fighting game is concerned, I think Larfleeze would actually be an incredibly unique character, especially if maybe his combos could be him maybe oftentimes hesitating to land attacks, or have like funny animations for his actual attacks where it seems like maybe he's not gonna attack when he punches back or like pulls back, but then the punch comes through or a kick comes through or something like that. I think that could make him a very unique character to play, and incorporating his personality into a fighting game seems like a no-brainer to me. So I think that he takes priority over the other leaders of the Lantern Corps, even though I would be perfectly fine if the other ones were included as possibly DLC characters down the line. Now, the next pick, I think, is going to get me a little bit of flack from some people, but that's perfectly fine. I get it. It's my list. You can go on ahead and put together your list. But I think the predominant argument that most people would probably make about this pick is that, hey, Blitz, you buffoon! And they probably would use far harsher language because, well, the internet, but they would go on ahead and say that, Blitz, this character is dead. What are you talking about? Well, since we're doing Necron, and since we're doing the Black Hand as kind of the theme, and zombies as the theme for this particular game, or at least that's what I'm hoping for, I think that'd be really cool to see. I think that it makes all the sense in the world to bring in Beast Boy. He was overwhelmingly the character that I saw most people in my chat during Injustice streams mentioning as the character that they want to play. He was probably, if not number 1, definitely number 2 most mentioned character that people would love to see in a potential sequel to Injustice. So I think that he is a bit of a no-brainer to include on this list just from a fan popularity perspective. But then coupled with that, of course, because of his abilities, he makes for a great concept for a fighting game character in terms of being able to turn into different forms. You can take the form of a gorilla, a dolphin, a bird. The list goes on, and I cannot wait to see what kind of an ultimate they could come up with for Beast Boy. And plus, he doesn't have to remain zombified. Don't get me wrong, I think zombified gorillas, elephants, all these things would be really cool to see. So I think that that would be just a neat visual to see. But I think they could just include a skin in the game that maybe turns him back into regular Beast Boy. So if you're not a fan of the zombified version, you can then play as classic Beast Boy as well. Now, the next one on the list is going to be the one and only, the Red Tornado. Now, I know that this is probably kind of way out there and out of the blue, but I think that if you take into account the fact that Red Tornado is somewhat kind of like the Vision of the DC universe, and considering how popular the character of Vision has gotten after the WandaVision TV show and the movies, I think that there is some potential there with the character itself to go on ahead and explore the idea of the cybernetic kind of character. But in addition to that, I think this is one of those picks that just makes for a great selection in a fighting game. That was one of the things that I really wanted to keep in mind. I didn't want to just pick my favorite characters and go through and be like, okay, well, it's going to be Penguin, Two-Face, and just go through all of the villains from the Bat family. But that would not make sense because they would all play very, very similar. There would not be a unique element to them. Whereas Red Tornado will play very differently. He'll be able to create tornadoes, different wind effects, different punches, different elements that would make him stand out compared to your regular fighter in the game. So for that, Red Tornado, you get a spot on the list. Gosh, I sound like Chris Jericho. You just made the list. Now, my next pick is going to be one that will be very popular with the Flash TV show fans because my next pick is actually Killer Frost. I was hoping that Captain Cold would be a fun character to play as in the game, but he turned out to be kind of lame. Both him and Mr. Freeze turned out to be somewhat lame. They were very limited to that pistol of theirs, and most of their combos just seemed to be kind of boring. Whereas I think a character with ice abilities actually makes for a compelling idea in a fighting game, maybe something that could go on ahead and again function more like Sub-Zero. And so who would best fill that spot? Well, that would certainly be Killer Frost. So I think that it would be a no-brainer character as far as gameplay is concerned. And then now she's also become a lot more popular as a character in general, thanks to the Flash TV show. So I think that Killer Frost should make for a great addition to Injustice 3's roster. Speaking of characters that gained popularity from TV shows, John Constantine is going to be the next pick. This was actually, shockingly to me, the character that was tied with Beast Boy for the most popular selection to appear in Injustice 3. A lot of people seem to have fallen in love with that character now, and I think that again he would make for a compelling character in the fighting game in terms of being able to cast spells and have a unique fighting style when compared to the rest of the roster. So I think John Constantine will be an excellent way to go on ahead and diversify the pool of characters and more specifically the gameplay in the game. Now, rounding out the list as far as characters that benefit from appearing in shows, we have Stargirl. I think that she will make for a unique character just due to the fact that most of her attacks and such will come from the utilization of the staff that she carries. But of course, in addition to that, the actual gameplay components from the staff will be kind of cool in terms of being able to manipulate energy while creating energy blasts and things like that. I think will make her cool because she'll be most likely probably a ranged character in the style of like a Green Arrow or maybe Deadshot or something like that. So I think that's cool. And then in addition to that, I think that obviously because the show has made the character more mainstream and more popular, I think there's actually a pretty good shot of her being included on this upcoming roster. Speaking of characters that are incredibly popular or seem to really get to that point where they are going to explode in popularity, we are going to go on ahead and select King Shark as the 10th character. I think that if you look at the Harley Quinn animated show, you see King Shark there. If you look at the Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, you see King Shark there. If you look at the Suicide Squad movie trailer, you can see King Shark being very prominent in those particular trailers, and it looks like he's most likely going to steal the movie, at least as far as the comedy is concerned. It definitely looks like it is going to be King Shark's movie. There's an upcoming 6-issue miniseries coming up for King Shark. So you can see I could carry on with the examples that King Shark is very, very popular. And it seems like the character is getting to that point where he's going to be a Groot-esque character. He just supersedes in popularity and people just love the idea of a big, giant talking shark cracking jokes. So I think that King Shark is a no-brainer in this. he will be kind of a brute, classic brute character like Bane was in Injustice 2. So as far as gameplay is concerned, I don't know how much you can do in terms of unique attacks and such for him. Maybe you could borrow some ideas from Black Manta in terms of like allowing him to like burrow underground, and I guess it wouldn't be underground, it would be into water and then pop up and attack. Maybe he could have some sort of a mix of attacks where he's actually chomping at the enemy instead of punching the enemy. So I think that could be kind of interesting and unique. But again, I think King Shark is a no-brainer lock pick. If there's one character out of this entire list that I am like 100% certain will be in the game if there is an Injustice 3, it's King Shark. Now we're getting really, really close to the conclusion. Going to go to yet another very, very powerful villain, and that would be AntiMonitor. Now, I know some people would say, well, shouldn't you save that for maybe an Injustice 4 or something like that, since you were introducing Necron and Black Hand as kind of the main villains? Well, I would argue if you look at Injustice 2, we got both Darkseid and Brainiac. Those were major, major villains, so why not go on ahead and do the same here, include the AntiMonitor? I think that he will make for a unique character, both from a gameplay perspective. He looks really cool. He's super duper unique as far as his storyline is concerned. So I think that he would be a cool, almost equivalent to how Brainiac and Darkseid both appeared in Injustice 2. Like I mentioned before, in this one, in Injustice 3, we would get AntiMonitor and Necron as kind of our two big bad guys that are actually playable in the game. Pick number 11 keeps us in that Batman universe, because you know that I'm a huge Batman fan, and we are going to go with Azrael. Azrael would be an awesome addition to this game. I think that he would make sense with the whole mysticism and the whole supernatural theme that I've kind of, I guess, pitched at this point, with zombies taking over the Injustice universe with Necron and Black Hand. And I think that Azrael would fit right into that. Plus, from a gameplay perspective, I think you could do a lot of cool stuff in terms of maybe doing some sort of flame attacks, but then at the same time, he could have the sword that he has in the Arkham Knight series or something like that. So I think that he would make for a great character. Plus, I would love to see the style that NetherRealm would come up for him, because I think all the characters that are kind of knights or something along those lines, or have that kind of a aspect to their character, NetherRealm seems to do a really, really good job of making those characters very unique. And I saved the best for last, at least in my personal opinion. Of course, the last pick, the 12th character, is going to be the one, the only Clayface. I think that Clayface is such a no-brainer pick. I think above and beyond any other Batman villain, which is kind of crazy saying that even out loud, because I'm like, I don't even really like Clayface as a character that much compared to a lot of the other villains. Like, there's tons of villains that I would prioritize and I find more interesting than Clayface, but I think that Clayface makes for an excellent fighting game character. I think that there's a lot that you could do from a gameplay perspective for Clayface in terms of just what he is able to go on ahead and do with his powers, in terms of metamorphosis and things like that, and being able to elongate himself, maybe go on ahead and change forms. I've even heard people mention before that it would be kind of cool that maybe he would function like Kirby in the Super Smash Bros. Games, where he can absorb the opponent and then go on ahead and obtain some sort of an attack that is exclusively obtained via that process. So if, let's say, you're fighting Batman, he can absorb Batman and then he becomes Bat Clayface, or Bat Clay, I guess maybe sounds a little bit cooler, where maybe now he can go on ahead and fire batarangs instead of like a slinging mud or something like that. So I think that he just makes for a perfect character in a fighting game. And I think that because we haven't seen him, I think it's another no-brainer pick to include on this list. And so there you guys have it. That is my list of 12 characters that must be included in Injustice 3. Let me know what you guys think of my list down in the comment section below. You can tell me that it was awesome. You can tell me that it sucked. It doesn't matter. I look forward to hearing from you guys and your opinions, but I would also love to hear from you as far as what you would add. If you were restricted with 12 characters to select, and again, feel free to not include Batman and Superman and characters that are very obviously going to be in the game. Feel free to go on ahead and pick more from the wider universe that the DC world offers. With that in mind, thanks all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. You can always grab some merch if you'd like to go on ahead and support the channel. Check out that blood spot right there, looking straight up fire. Thank you guys so very much for those of you that have been picking up the merch. Much appreciated. You guys have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. I will hopefully get you guys here next time. And by the way, DC fandom is not that far away. So TikTok on the clock. If there's any time this year that we would get news about an Injustice 3, it would be at that event. So I look forward to going on ahead and checking out that event along with you guys. So again, stay subscribed, turn on your notifications. That way you do not miss out.